my name is Jen, and today we're going to crochet the Lotus Flower Appliqué. More specifically, we're going to be crocheting the silhouette of the beautiful lotus flower. You'll then be able to use your appliqué to create pillow covers, wall hangings, decorate the front of purses or tote bags, all kinds of things. Let's get started today by looking at our materials. For this project, we'll be using 8 stitch markers for each of 2 different colors. If you don't own stitch markers, use scrap pieces of yarn and once again choose 2 different colors. We'll be using a medium weight or size 4 yarn for the back of our applique. I chose this one just because I kind of liked the watercolors. And then we're going to be using a double knit or a DK weight size 3 yarn for our flower. I have 3 colors here: yellow, which is going to represent the stamens inside the flower, green for the sepals, and the flower that I'm making today will be in this pretty pink. We will also be using 2 crochet hooks, a size 4 and a size 5mm. I've got a pair of scissors and a yarn needle handy. We will begin by making the back of the applique using our medium weight or size 4 yarn and our 5mm crochet hook. We're going to start with a magic ring. You can see I'm wrapping my yarn back to front around 2 fingers, slipping my hook under the first thread, picking up the back thread, pulling it underneath, and then yarn over, pull through. You can tighten up your work a little bit by pulling on both ends of your yarn before we carry on with round 1. Round 1 begins by chaining 1, working a single crochet into your ring, and then marking that as the first stitch. We'll be marking the first stitch of each round. Now we can continue on with round 1 by working 5 more single crochets into our ring. To work a single crochet, you insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2. After you work those 5 more single crochets, you'll have a total of 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we can join with a slip stitch to our first single crochet. To do so, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the loop on your hook. Go ahead and cinch up your magic ring. We're going to chain 1, and then we're ready to move on to round 2. We're not going to be turning our work. The right side of our work is always going to be facing us as we work our project. For round 2, we're going to be working around the back post only. Insert your hook from back to front around the post of the first single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2. So just a regular single crochet, only we're just working around the post of the first stitch. Let's go ahead and mark this as the first stitch of our round. Here we go, and then we're going to chain 1. Now you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. You're going to work a single crochet around the post of the next stitch, back to front, remember, and then chain 1. Back to front around the post of the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1. Continue on working your way around. We will be doing this repeat a total of 6 times. Here we are with our last chain 1. Go ahead and double check that stitch count. Make sure you have a total of 12 stitches, and then we can go ahead and finish off round 2 by joining to the first single crochet with a slip stitch, and then chain 1. Once again, round 2 has a total of 12 stitches. For round 3, we're back working into the stitches just like we're used to. Single crochet into the first stitch and then mark that stitch as the first stitch of the round, and then you can see that we're working a second single crochet into that same stitch. Now we're going to work one single crochet into the chain one space. And now we're going to repeat this pattern a total of 6 times. So we've just done it once. We're going to do it 5 more times. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the chain 1 space, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the chain 1 space. Repeat this pattern all the way around. Round 3 will have a total of 18 stitches, and I'll meet you at the end of round 3. We are just finishing off our last repeat, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning single crochet, and then we can remove that stitch marker and chain 1. Let's head straight into round 4, where we're back to working around those back posts only. You can see that by doing so, we are raising up the round that came before it. Round 1 is raised by round 2, and round 3 is going to be raised by round 4. So back to front, we're going to work a single crochet around that first stitch, place our stitch marker, then we're going to chain 1, single crochet back post only around the next stitch, and then single crochet around the next stitch. Remember, we're working around the back posts throughout this entire round, and now we're going to work this repeat a total of 6 times. So we have 5 to go. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, single crochet. Back to front around those back posts, we're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and single crochet. So I will meet you at the end of round 4. Just continue to work this repeat all the way around. Here we are finishing up the last repeat of round 4. Round 4 will have a total of 24 stitches. Slip stitch to our first single crochet. You can remove that stitch marker and chain 1, and we're ready for round 5. For round 5, we're working back into the stitches as we usually do. We're going to work a single crochet into that first stitch, mark it as our first single crochet of the round, and then we're going to go back and work another single crochet into that same stitch. Then we'll work a single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and then single crochet in the stitch after that. So it's 2 single crochets in the next stitch, single crochet in the chain 1 space. You can pull on the fabric and kind of open up that space a little bit, and it just makes it easier to see. And then you're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then single crochet in the next stitch. I'm going to go ahead and time travel us to the end of round 5. So pause the video if you're working with me in real time and finish your round 5 as well. And at the end of round 5, you should have a total of 30 stitches. We're going to finish this round by working that slip stitch to the beginning single crochet, and then chain 1. Let's pause here and have a quick look at our work. So we've got 5 rounds. We're making a classic hexagon shape, and the only thing that's making it look different is that we're working in those back posts on our even numbered rounds. This is raising the odd numbered rounds, and we're going to use those raised rounds to attach our flower petals. I'm also going to take a moment and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weave in my beginning tail. Remember, this was part of a magic ring, so you can give it a little tug and make sure that ring is closed. When I weave in beginning tails and I'm working in the round like this, I do kind of like to take the beginning tail around the base of the first round. It's just a habit that I've gotten into. It just makes for a very secure beginning to the piece. I don't know, I just feel like I'm reinforcing the fabric there. So you'll see me kind of go around the base of those round 1 stitches, and then I'm going to go in the reverse direction and go under a few stitches and then back again. I always tend to go back and forth at least 3 times when I'm weaving in my loose ends. This just makes for a very secure hold. So here we are off to a fine start, and I hope that you're finding your flow with these back post stitches, because round 6 is another back post round. So our repeating pattern for round 6 is to work a single crochet around the back post of the first stitch, then take that moment to mark the first stitch of the round. We're going to chain 1, and then work a single crochet around the back post of each of the next 4 stitches. So this is the repeating pattern for round 6. We are just finishing up that first repeat. You can go back and count your stitches. There will be a total of 6, including that chain 1. And now let's look at it one more time. You're going to single crochet around the back post of the next stitch, chain 1, and then single crochet around the back post of each of the next 4 stitches. Carry on with this repeat, and I will meet you at the end of round 6. Here we are on that last repeat, single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. I hope it's starting to feel a little more comfortable working around these back posts. Round 6 will have a total of 36 stitches. And when you complete that last repeat, you can slip stitch to the first stitch and chain 1. Okay, here we go. Wiggle those fingers, grab a drink of water if you need one, and let's head on in to round 7. For round 7, we're working back into those stitches just like we usually do, so this should feel very comfortable. Single crochet in the first stitch, mark that single crochet as the first stitch of the round, single crochet into the same stitch, and then you're going to single crochet into the chain 1 space. Following that, you'll work 1 single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. You have just worked 7 stitches, and now we're going back into that repeat. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, single crochet in the chain 1 space, and then single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. Go ahead and continue to work this repeat all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 7. As you can see, I am moving us right along here, and I'm on the last repeat of the round. Round 7 will have a total of 42 stitches. I like to give you the stitch count for each round so that you can take the time if you wish and go back and double check your stitch count just to set yourself up for success before heading into round 8. So here we are, the back of our applique is growing and we have just 3 more rounds to go. Round 8 is a back post only round. We're going to single crochet around the back post of the first stitch, mark that stitch and then chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. Once again, always remember on these even numbered rounds, we're working around the back post only. Repeat this pattern a total of 6 times, and I will meet you at the end of round 8. At the end of round 8, go ahead and slip stitch to the beginning single crochet and chain 1. Round 8 will have a total of 48 stitches. Our repeating pattern for round 9 is to begin by working that single crochet into the first stitch, mark that stitch, work another single crochet into the same stitch, single crochet into the chain 1 space, and then work 1 single crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. This is our repeating pattern for round 9. You'll work this repeat a total of 6 times. And once again, I will meet you at the end of the round. At the end of round 9, slip stitch to the beginning single crochet, chain 1. Round 9 has a total of 54 stitches. Here we are on our very last round. Round 10 is a back post only round. Single crochet in the back post only of that first stitch. Mark this as the first stitch of the round. Go ahead and chain 1. And then single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. Back post only once again. Do this repeating pattern a total of 6 times, and I'll see you at the end of round 10. At the end of round 10, you will have a total of 60 stitches. Slip stitch to the first single crochet, and this time we're going to go ahead and cut our working yarn. Yarn over and pull this tail in through the last loop on your hook. You can also just pull on that hook and pull the tail in through. And then you can see that I've turned our work over to the wrong side, and I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to weave in our ending tail. I finished up that weaving off camera so I can keep us cruising along. Here is our completed hexagon. It does have a seam, and that is quite all right because you're actually not even really going to see the back of the applique. The back of our applique is measuring 4.75 or 12 centimeters from point to point, or 4.5 to 11.5 centimeters from side to side. The flower, when it's complete, will be closer to the smaller of those two measurements, 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters in diameter. Of course, you can scale the size of your lotus flower applique up or down by adjusting your hook sizes and the weight of your yarn. Now that the back is complete, we can begin work on our lotus flower. We're going to begin with the sepals, which are those little leaves just under the flower. Before we crochet, we're going to prepare our fabric by adding a few stitch markers. As you can see, I have the seam in the upper right hand corner, and then I'm folding the back in half so that I can find the center of the bottom. You can see that I'm counting 3 more stitches to the right from that center stitch and then placing 1 stitch marker. Then I'm picking up my second stitch marker. I'm counting 7 stitches from the first stitch marker and then placing this one in the next stitch. So there are 7 unworked stitches between these 2 outer stitch markers. So as you can see, they are attached to that last raised round of the back of our fabric, and they're almost located in those bottom 2 corners of the hexagon. From here, with the third stitch marker, I'm leaving 3 unworked stitches between these 2 on the right, and then 3 unworked stitches between these 2 on the left. Please note that I'm using all of the same color stitch marker here. It's just going to help us quite a bit visually to have these colors guide us along our way. So these orange stitch markers are actually going to be where we anchor the points of our sepals. But now we need to place 4 more stitch markers where we're going to join the yarn to the fabric and start working on these sepal leaves. When I'm placing the blue stitch markers, I'm really thinking about the angles and the direction that the leaves are going to be growing in. So the first blue stitch marker is just a little bit inward from that far right orange stitch marker. And then I place the rest of the blue stitch markers evenly apart. I skip a total of 2 spaces between each of the blue stitch markers. Then you can kind of look back and see if you're happy with your stitch placement. So after I place this last blue stitch marker, I'm going to go ahead and have a look at the back of my applique. And I want to make sure that it's feeling good to me, that the stitch markers feel balanced. So you have pairs of stitch markers, blue and orange, that correspond, and each set will become a little sepal leaf. So this little sepal leaf on the far right, that's your first pair of blue and orange stitch markers, and so on across. Let's review our stitch marker placement. There are 7 stitches between the 2 middle orange markers, and there are 3 stitches between each of the outside 2 orange stitch markers. As for the blue, there are 2 stitches between each of the blue stitch markers. Now, if you don't place your stitch markers in the exact same stitches as mine, that is okay. Remember, we're making a flower. Flowers are organic, and yours can look a little different from mine. You could decide that you would rather have 3 sepal leaves, 1 in the center and 1 on each side. And when you're ready, go ahead and grab your 4mm crochet hook and your green DK weight or size 3 yarn, and we'll get to work on our sepals. You can work your sepals from right to left or left to right, whichever is more comfortable for you. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the sepal on the far right and work my way to the left. For round 1 of your first sepal, you're going to join your hook to that first stitch marker, either on the far right or the far left, and we're joining to the blue stitch marker, and we're going to join with a slip stitch. You're going to insert your hook underneath both of those threads from that stitch from the raised round, and this is just going to give us a very secure hold for our little sepals. So you can see there's 2 threads on the hook. Yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So we've just joined to our marked stitch with a slip stitch. Next, we're going to chain 3, and our beginning chains will not count as the first stitch now and throughout the rest of this pattern. So whenever we're doing a beginning chain, the beginning chain will not count as the first stitch of the round. I have folded over the back of the applique just to make it a little easier to see my work. We'll continue round 1 by working a double crochet into the same stitch, and then another double crochet, Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 twice. So we've got 2 double crochets, and now we're going to work 5 half double crochets. As you can see, to work a half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Here's our third half double crochet, our fourth, and we've got 1 more to go. And now we're going to work 2 more double crochets, all in the same stitch. So we're going to have a total of 9 stitches, all worked into this same stitch. Before we move on, let's have a little look at our work. It's almost like a little fan, all connected to that center point. And speaking of connection, now we're going to enlarge this loop, pull out our hook, and then we're going to insert our hook into that very first double crochet. Remember, not the top of the beginning chain 3. We're going to skip right over that beginning chain 3. So skip these 3 stitches and then insert your hook into that first double crochet. And now replace the loop and draw that loop through the first stitch and allow these stitches to puff towards you, not away from you. So we've got this little puff reaching out towards that orange stitch marker, and then we're going to chain 2 and head into round 2. For round 2, we're going to be working counterclockwise around this puff stitch and beginning in our last double crochet made. Into that stitch, you're going to work a half double crochet. Into the next stitch, you're going to work 3 half double crochets. So here's 1, 2, and then 1 more. And then just keep rotating your fabric. Into the next stitch, you're going to work 2 half double crochets. Here's 1 and then 2. And now we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. We have just worked across the first 4 stitches of round 1, and now we're going to connect this sepal to the outer orange stitch marker. In the next stitch, you're going to start by working a half double crochet. Then into the same stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, and then also insert your hook into the marked stitch. Yarn over, pull through the marked stitch and the stitch on your sepal, then yarn over and pull through all 3, and then chain 1. So you just did your first half double crochet join. We're going to continue working into the same stitch by working 2 more half double crochets. So here's the first, and here's the second half double crochet. We have just joined this sepal and given it a gentle point with that chain 1 in between the half double crochets. So that one stitch has a total of 4 half double crochets. 2 halves, a chain 1, and 2 more halves. And now we're going to work back across the last 4 stitches by working a half double crochet into the next stitch, then 2 half double crochets into this stitch. Our next stitch will get a total of 3 half double crochets. Here's the first and the second and 1 more. And now we're going to work a half double crochet into the last stitch, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the chain 2 space. Do not finish off your work, but hey, let's take a minute and appreciate our very first sepal. It is a gentle point. You can shape it a little bit if you like, But our first sepal is complete. Okay, let's keep going with our second sepal. I'm going to rejoin my hook to that loop, and our second sepal is going to be joined at the next blue stitch marker. So just as we did before, we're going to join to this stitch with a slip stitch. So just insert your hook under that stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook, and then you can remove this stitch marker just to get it out of your way. Once that's taken care of, you can go ahead and chain 3 and then carry on with round 1. The directions for each of these sepals are exactly the same. I'm just reposting them for your convenience, and I also wanted to share making one more sepal just so you could watch it through one more time. I also wanted to show how we're sort of connecting the sepals in a row as we're working our way across the bottom of the flower. So what you're watching is the exact same process that we did with the first sepal. This time I'm just working more at a natural pace just so you can watch the process once again. Okay, here's that last double crochet. It's never a bad idea to double check your stitch count. You should have 9 stitches. We're going to insert our hook into the first double crochet. Remember, we're skipping over the beginning chain 3 and going into the first double crochet, putting the loop back on our hook and drawing it through that stitch, allowing the fabric to puff towards you. And remember, we're going to be connecting this one to the next orange stitch marker. So this leaf is going to be angled towards that next orange stitch marker right there. Chain 2, and then we can head into round 2. I'm going to leave you to watch and work your way around this second round, and I'll see you at the end of round 2. I hope you're feeling good about this process. There is something so satisfying about working these sepals across in one continuous row. It's also quite sweet the way that they overlap and face in different directions. And so I hope you're enjoying the process. Now there's 2 more to go. I'm going to put the directions back up so you can pause the video here and complete the last 2 sepals. Here we go. Once you have all 4 sepals, you can go ahead and weave in your beginning and ending tails on the wrong side of the sepals. I did that little bit of sewing off camera, and now I'm excited to show you our next step. If we take a look at our completed sample, you can see that there are 4 large flower petals, and we also have 1, 2, 3, and 4 small flower petals. We're going to start off by making these 4 small petals. Instead of working these petals directly onto the back of the applique, we're actually going to be working these petals into a magic ring. Once you have your magic ring, we're going to begin round 1 of the small petal by chaining 4. Into the magic ring, we're going to work a treble crochet, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops 3 times. There's our first treble crochet, and now we're going to work 1 more. Continuing to work into that magic ring, we're going to work a double crochet. Now we're going to work 2 half double crochets. Next, we'll work 1 single crochet. Then back to 2 half double crochets. 1 double crochet. And then we'll finish off with 2 more treble crochet stitches. And with that, we have just worked a total of 11 stitches into our magic ring. Just as before, we're going to remove our loop from our hook. I'm doing a quick double check of my stitch count, and then I'm inserting my hook into the very first treble crochet. Remember that the beginning chain 4 does not count as the first stitch of the round, so we skip over those 4 chains and insert our hook into that first treble crochet stitch, and then we replace the loop on our hook, allowing the fabric to puff towards us, and we pull that loop through that treble crochet stitch. At this point, you can go ahead and close your magic ring, and we'll finish off round 1 by chaining 2. In round 2, we're working counterclockwise around these 11 stitches. We start by working a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then 3 half double crochets in the stitch after that. The next stitch gets 2 half double crochets. And then each of the next 2 stitches get 1 half double crochet. So there's 1 in that stitch, and then 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. So we've just covered the first 5 stitches, and now into the next stitch we're going to work a half double crochet, and then we're going to do a double crochet in this same stitch, chain 1, another double crochet in this same stitch, and a half double crochet. This is going to give us the little point to our petal. And now we continue working over the last 5 stitches by working a half double crochet in the next stitch, a half double crochet in the stitch after that, and then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. Here's 1, 2, and 3, and then a half double crochet in the last stitch, We're going to join with a slip stitch to our beginning chain 2 space. We're going to go ahead and finish off our yarn, but you want to leave a nice long tail for sewing. So leave yourself at least 20 inches for sewing. We're going to need all of that length a little later on. So just go ahead and pull that tail in through the final loop. Here's a look at our small flower petal. Before we make the next one, let's go ahead and weave in the beginning tail. As you will recall, we did begin our small petal with a magic ring, so be sure to make sure that your magic ring is fully closed, and then just go ahead and weave in this beginning tail on the wrong side of the petal. Now we're going to repeat this process 3 more times until we have a total of 4 small flower petals. Now, truth be told, you could be making all of your petals and even those sepals into a magic ring and then fashioning or sewing your flower petals onto any surface. But for the purpose of our applique, we're going to carry on working our lotus flower petals onto the back that we've created. For now, we're going to set these 4 small petals aside and we're going to make the 4 large petals. We have 2 in the center and 1 on each side. So if you're ready to get started, we'll go ahead and also set aside our sample piece and bring back the applique that we're working on, and also bring out those stitch markers once again. Now you can see I have turned my applique upside down such that that seam is now in the lower left-hand corner. We have our raised rounds from the center on out. We have a total of 5 raised rounds, and we'll begin by placing 2 blue stitch markers in the center of our piece. One is at the top of that first raised round, the other one is at the bottom of the second raised round, and then if you fold the piece in half, you want to center the orange stitch marker in the very last raised round, such that when you hold your crochet hook, we're really forming a straight line. So we should have that straight line of stitch markers right through the center of our applique. Now we're going to place another blue stitch marker between the 3rd and 4th raised round. So we actually want to place this in one of the stitches between the 2 raised rounds, just like this. And then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. You kind of want these 2 outside blue stitch markers to line up with each other. They're going to be just a little bit above those sepals on the edge. So you can see that I'm getting ready to place the second one here. When I'm done, I'm kind of using my crochet hook a little bit like a ruler, and I'm holding it up to the piece, and I really feel like that stitch marker on the left hand side is a little bit closer to us than the one on the right hand side, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one on the left. That looks much better. The last 2 stitch markers we'll be placing are orange ones. We're going to count 7 stitches away from the center orange one and place one on the right, and do the same thing on the left. So there should be 7 unworked stitches between each of the orange stitch markers. Okay, now we're all set up for success. The blue stitch markers are going to show us where to attach our yarn, and the orange stitch markers are going to be the points of 3 of the petals. So we're going to start off with this one in the very center, and this one has a little yellow yarn peeking out to represent the stamens. So we're going to begin once again still working with our 4mm crochet hook and our yellow yarn. We are going to begin our large petal with stamens by joining our yarn to the middle blue stitch marker right here with a slip stitch. Here we go. I'm sorry I kind of slid out of camera there, but I'm coming back. Okay, so let's carry on. I'm going to fold the piece in half, and it just makes it a little easier to work into the stitch when you fold it in half like this. Round 1 for these large flower petals is worked in the exact same way as round 1 was worked for the small flower petals, so this should be nice and familiar to you. I'm going to just sit back and quietly watch as you work this round 1, and then I'll meet you at the beginning of round 2. I was sitting back and getting so comfortable when I remembered that there is one thing that's a little bit different about this round 1. On our very last yarn over pull through 2, we're going to drop our yellow and bring in our pink flower color for that last yarn over pull through 2. Okay, as you were. Okay, here we are at the end of round 1, and you can go ahead and cut your yellow color. We'll take care of these loose ends a little bit later, but let's go ahead and move on to round 2. For round 2, we are going to be working counterclockwise around. We're working with our pink color once again, and starting in that first stitch, we're going to work 1 half double crochet. Round 2 has changed just a little bit. We're going to work 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. Two half double crochets in the stitch after that. And we're going to do that one more time, 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. Let's keep moving. We're going to work a half double crochet in the next stitch. 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. This is the very middle stitch. And then 1 half double crochet in the stitch after that. I've basically just broken these up into shorter segments just to make the pattern a little bit easier to follow. We have 4 more stitches to work into, and we're going to work 2 half double crochets into each of the next 3 stitches. And then 1 half double crochet in the last stitch, and we'll join with a slip stitch to the beginning chain 2 space. After that, we'll chain 2. Round 2 will have a total of 19 stitches. I am going to keep us moving right into round 3. Round 3 begins with a double crochet in the first stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, Double crochet in the next stitch, and in the stitch after that. And now our next stitch is going to get a total of 3 double crochets. And finally, we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. This will bring us to the center of our flower petal where we'll be working our join. Begin by working a double crochet into that stitch. And now we're going to work a treble join. Yarn over twice, go back into that same stitch, and under that middle orange stitch marker at the very top, yarn over and pull through the marked stitch and the stitch on the flower petal. You can go ahead and get the stitch marker out of your way, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2 3 times. Chain 1, and then we're going to work another treble in this same stitch. And then we're going to finish off by working a double crochet in this same stitch. Now we're going to go back around the other side of our flower petal by working 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. This is followed by working 3 double crochets in the next stitch. Now we're going to double crochet in the next stitch and in the stitch after that. The following stitch will get 2 double crochets. And there is 1 double crochet in that very last stitch. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning chain 2 space, and then we can cut our working yarn and finish off. Let's have a look at our first large flower petal. We can turn our work back around so that it's right side up. We're going to go ahead and weave in all 4 of these tails on the wrong side of the flower petal. Once you've woven in those tails, we're ready to move on to the large middle petal. Turn your work back over so it's upside down once again, and we're going to be joining our yarn with a slip stitch to this stitch marker right in the middle. This one right here, just so you can see, we're going to be working on this large flower petal. So with our pink, we're going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch to this center blue stitch marker. Of all the flower petals, this one might feel the most awkward just because we're working in between the large flower petal that we just made and those sepals. It will absolutely help to fold the back of the applique in half. It really helps to expose the stitch and make it easier to work into. Once you have joined your yarn with the slip stitch, we are going to be working rounds 1 and 2 of this flower petal in the exact same manner as we did for the first large flower petal. So rounds 1 and 2 are exactly the same for this flower petal. I'm going to put the instructions up here on the screen, and you can pause and work rounds 1 and 2, and I'll be back with you for round 3. Round 3 is also the same, except the center join is just a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and let you follow the written directions, and I'll be back to guide you through that center join. Here we are at that center stitch. We're going to begin by working a double crochet into the stitch, and then we're going to yarn over twice, go into the same stitch, and this time we're not working into a stitch marker. Instead, we're going to be attaching the point of this flower petal to round 1 of the previous flower petal. Take a moment, lie the piece down flat, make sure everything is straight up and down, and then insert your hook under round 1 from the previous flower petal. So it's going to be that yellow round, and it's really just going under a couple of threads there. And then just like we do when we're working with the stitch markers, we're going to yarn over, pull it through round 1 of that flower petal and through the stitch on the flower petal that we're creating. And then we can finish that treble crochet by working the yarn over, pull through 2 3 times. After that, it's back to work as usual. You will chain 1, and then you'll work a treble and a double into this same stitch before moving on to the rest of the flower petal. I'm going to give you a moment to finish up this petal, and then we'll have a look at our work. We can go ahead and cut our working yarn here. I'm not sure why I left myself such a long tail. You'll need a little bit of length, but not quite as much as you can see that I left for myself. Let's go ahead and turn our work back around so that it is right side up. We are going to use that ending tail to tack down the bottom of this flower petal. The beginning tail we're going to weave in behind the flower petal as per our new usual, and then we'll take the ending tail, make sure everything is lined up straight, and then find where this petal naturally meets the background of the applique. Go ahead and work a stitch or 2 just to tack the base of this petal into place. When I say tack, I really just mean to sew it into place. We're just holding it in position. So I'm just going to go through that a couple of times, and then I'm going to go ahead and weave in the excess yarn here on the back side of the flower petal. We only want to tack it down in that one spot. Here is our lotus flower so far. It's starting to take shape. We have 2 large flowers, and now we're going to make the large right flower petal. So the one that we're working on is this large one on the right, and you see that it has a little bit of a different shape. Once again, we are going to begin by turning our work upside down. So that right flower petal is now represented by the blue stitch marker all the way on the left. Go ahead and join your yarn to this blue stitch marker. You can see that I'm folding the back of the applique over once again, just to make it easy to work into this stitch. The first 2 rounds of all of the large flower petals are the same. So once again, I'm going to put those directions up on the screen for you and let you work through rounds 1 and 2, and then I'll be back to work through round 3 of this large flower petal with you. Here we are on round number 3, so let's go ahead and shape this flower petal. Into the first stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. There are 2 double crochets in the next stitch. A half double crochet in the stitch after that, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3, and now we're going to work a single crochet, 2 single crochets in the next stitch. There's 1, and here's number 2. We're going to work a single crochet in the stitch after that, and now we're going to single crochet 3 together. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. After that, you're going to work a double crochet. So we have just worked over the first 10 stitches, and now we're at the center of this flower petal. We're going to work a double crochet and then go back into that same stitch with our treble crochet join. This time we're joining to the orange stitch marker just above on the right side of our applique. You can go ahead and move that stitch marker out of your way and complete this treble crochet. Now we're going to chain 1, work another treble crochet into the same stitch, and then we work a double crochet into this same stitch, and now we're ready to work our way around the other side of the petal. We'll begin by working 3 double crochets in the next stitch. Here's the second one and 1 more. We're going to work 2 double crochets in the next stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that, 2 double crochets in this stitch, two double crochets in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, two double crochets in this stitch. We've got 1 stitch left, and that stitch is going to get a double crochet. We will join with a slip stitch to that beginning chain 2, and then you can finish off your working yarn. Go ahead and pull that cut in through, and let's have a look at our Lotus Flower Appliqué. I'm going to turn it back around and kind of straighten everybody out a little bit. The first petal is in the background. This right petal is going to go in between the background center petal and the foreground center petal. Just as before, we're going to weave in the beginning tail on the wrong side of the flower petal. And then we're going to take the ending tail and we're going to go ahead and tack it down to the back of the applique. Once you have sewn this into place, go ahead and finish off by weaving in the excess ending tail on the back side of the flower petal. As you can see, there's still plenty of movement in our petals. We are going to need to be able to separate them to add the small flower petals at the end of our project. We have one large flower petal to go, and it's this one right on the left side of the applique. We're going to turn our work upside down once again, and that means that the stitch marker is going to be on the far right side. We've only got one blue stitch marker left, so fold over the back of your applique, join your yarn to the stitch marker, and then we can start working on our last large flower petal. Now you guessed it, rounds 1 and 2 are the same, so I'm going to put those instructions for you back up on the screen, and then I'll see you when you're ready for round 3. This petal is the mirror image of the petal that we just created. I'm going to go ahead and let you follow these directions. I am feeling quite confident that after doing 3 large petals already, this is starting to feel comfortable to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you follow these written directions. Please know that I am always reading my comments. If you're ever working on one of my tutorials and you run into a question, don't hesitate to ask a question in the comments below. I am always more than happy to help. When this petal is complete, go ahead and turn your work back over. We're going to finish this one off in the same way by weaving in our beginning tail on the wrong side of the petal and then taking our ending tail, tacking it to the back of the applique, and then weaving in any excess of this tail on the wrong side of the petal. I'll be doing this sewing off camera, and then together we'll finish off our lotus flower. Aren't you happy that we've already crocheted our 4 small flower petals? Now all we need to do is sew these into place. We're going to start with the 2 on top. Watch carefully as I open up a space for the first small flower petal. We're going to nestle the small petal in between the center petals and the one on the far right. The right petal will overlap the small petal, and then the center petals will overlap the far right petal. So it really is just tucked into bed here between these large petals. Just as we have been doing, I'm going to begin by tacking the base of this petal into place. You can see that this petal is overlapped by the petal on the right. So first I'm taking a moment to attach those two, and then I'm bringing in that center petal, and I'm doing a little sewing here as well. There's no particular way that you need to go about this sewing. Just sew until you're satisfied that this small petal is going to stay in position and you're happy with how the larger petals are placed. Then we're going to repeat this process for the small petal on the top left side. I filmed this entire process with the first small petal, even though I did speed up the footage here. This is such a visual process. I want to allow you the time and space to watch as this first petal goes into place, and then I'll be back and we'll continue to work together. As you can see, I really do play around a little bit until I'm happy with the way the petals are set without having them be sewn completely in place. I like for the edges to be free, for them to kind of have the ability to move a little bit, for me to be able to shape them. This is my personal choice. If you wanted to, you could sew these petals down flat so that they don't budge an inch. It also sort of depends on how you want to use your applique in terms of how secure you want your petals to be. So these are choices you'll make as you sew your small petals into place. Once you have your two small petals sewn in on top, it's time to move down to the two small petals that are sewn onto the bottom. These are going to be sandwiched in between the middle center one. It's going to be on top of the petal with the stamens and on top of the far right one. Watch so you can see how I'm layering these petals. When I'm happy with the way the two smaller petals look, I'll go ahead and sew these into position. I also took a little footage of me sewing some of the sepals into place. This is why we left these ending tails so long, so you can do any and all the sewing that you desire. I feel like I have taken you on quite a journey making this small lotus flower applique. Even though what we've created is the silhouette of the lotus flower, this applique still has quite a lot of depth. I love this profile view, and I can't wait to hear how you might use this in your future projects. Speaking of future projects, I am going to turn this applique into 2 or 3 different projects in the weeks to come. I'll be exploring ways to simplify the pattern a little bit and also making up the lotus flower in different weights of yarn. So if that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe, and that way you won't miss these videos once I have them ready for you. I truly hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I've really enjoyed creating it for you. I also, before I leave today, just really want to thank you for being here. I share my crochet tutorials here on YouTube on Tuesdays. Feel free to check out my channel. There are quite a few patterns to explore. I also pop in from time to time with a vlog style video. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.